Good morning and welcome to a rather grey but still beautiful Limousin, France. It's a bit early this morning. I'm doing a little bit of work on Jolene before I kind of start for the day. It's one of the things about owning a 56-year-old daily driver is that you've got to keep on top of the maintenance and keep her running nicely. And I take care of her, she takes care of me, and that way it's the reason why she's never let me down. She's never left me stranded. She's always made it home, even though sometimes she has a mood. So I'm going to try and get the rest of my roof on today. I'm about halfway there. If you're new to this channel and you don't know about my roof and about my barn, don't worry, there will be a link at the end of this video to that video. But yeah, I'm doing a bit of maintenance work this morning and I thought I'd film a video because I love Jolene. I enthuse about Jolene very often, and one of the most commonly asked questions I'm actually asked about Jolene is, what are the worst things about owning a 2CV and what are the worst things about having a 56-year-old daily driver? Well, one of the realities is that she obviously requires a little bit more maintenance, a little bit more love, a little bit more work, but she's never ever left me stranded. Jolene has always made it home. And because of that, I'm hugely thankful, and I always believe that if I take care of her, she'll always take care of me. But that's just 56-year-old cars in general. What are the worst things about owning a 2CV? Well, the first one... Shut up, belly. I ain't had breakfast yet. Right, so the first one is a lot of my American followers who don't own 2CVs talk about wanting a 2CV as a city car. 2CVs are not good city cars. They can do it, but Jolene won't do it happily because she hasn't got enough power to nip out in traffic. Like if you're at an intersection, or if you're at a junction, you can't just see a gap and with a car come in and think, oh, I'll just nip out here and zip down there. She's not a mini. She just doesn't have the torque. She doesn't have the power. She takes a second to accelerate. So if you see something coming and you think, can I just nip out? The answer is always no, just as a general rule of thumb. The other thing is that Jolene doesn't have a good turning circle. In fact, earlier 2CVs with no CV joints have the turning circle of like a giant transatlantic tanker. There are big four-wheel drive Jeeps with huge wheels that have a tighter turning circle than Jolene. You cannot you can't just do a U-turn on a 2-lane road. You will have to stick it in reverse and reverse back. She has big wheels and she doesn't have CV joints, so it's kind of a difficult turning circle to do, and it's just part of it. Add that to the fact that she has very little rear visibility because she has no third windows. Being an earlier car, it makes her look really pretty. But as far as practicality goes, there's a reason why all 2CV6s have a third window. I think it's worth it. I don't really parallel park much in Jolene. A lot of France is set up so you don't need to parallel park. But parallel parking in Jolene with that huge turning circle, no rear visibility, and not a lot of power, means that Jolene is a difficult city car. And if I lived in a big city, I would find her very, very difficult. Like I say, you can't nip out in traffic. She's a nightmare to parallel park. I mean, I consider myself a good driver. I've parked boats for a living. That a big 40-ton boat is easier to park reverse into a parking spot than Jolene is to parallel park. She's incredibly difficult. And she doesn't maneuver well in reverse either. So all those things add up to a car that's incredibly difficult to park backwards. And if you're looking for a 2CV and you live in a big city and you parallel park a lot, I would steer clear from earlier cars completely. I wouldn't even include them in my search. I would look at a Diane, a 2CV6, an AMI 8, that kind of thing. Later AMI 6s are okay because they have CV joints. But I wouldn't even look at an early car because simply they're just not good at parallel parking. I wouldn't take Jolene, for instance, into the centre of Paris. That would be a very bad idea. The second thing on this list is the fact that 2CVs were incredibly cheap for a long time. The problem with that is that if you've bought a car for a couple of €100, you're not going to pour loads of money into looking after it. Certain people I know have had their 2CVs from new and have taken incredible care of their 2CVs, and their 2CVs are just beautiful and stunning and fantastically well maintained. But the majority of people that had 2CVs that I meet on the street and stuff, they say, oh, I had one and it was rusty and we beat the hell out of it and then it was scrapped or whatever, or it was put in a barn and that's where it stays. And that kind of thing, and then I sold it to a person. And now those same cars are now worth a lot of money. Some people lament the fact that 2CVs are now worth a lot of money because they missed the days when they were cheap and disposable. I think it's a good thing. I think the fact that 2CVs are now worth money means that people need to take care of them and that people can make a living from taking care of them. I think it's a superb thing that 2CVs are now expensive. But it's those same 2CVs that were once worth a couple of €100. And because of that, many of them carry bad bodges and repairs from previous owners. Everything I've had to fix on Jolene has been stuff that was done by the previous owner, be it door seals, the windscreen seal in a previous video, the mismatched bumper, you know, things like that. Setting up the electrics properly, every single thing has been a repair that someone else did that I'm now having to redo and do it properly. And this, it's part of the history of the car, but unfortunately it's a sad part of the history of the car. And it's a thing that cars that have always been worth money don't necessarily have. Cars that have always been worth money have always been maintained nicely, always been maintained properly, and people have always spent money on them. But any classic car that was once worth very little that is now worth a lot of money, you're always going to find bodges, you're always going to find bad repairs and that kind of thing. And it's kind of just part of 2CV ownership now, is kind of when you buy a 2CV, going through it and finding those bodges and those bad repairs and making sure your car's safe and nice and beautiful. The third thing on this list, and it's kind of related to the second, is that all parts are available for a 2CV, and that's a fantastic thing. However, there are a bunch of different companies out there. Some 2CV parts companies are better than others. Certain 2CV parts companies get all their parts made in the Far East, and the quality of those parts is terrible. And unfortunately, a lot of those companies charge the same amount of money for their parts as the 2CV parts companies that make their parts in Germany and France and the UK and Holland and Belgium. The European made parts for 2CVs are far superior to those made in the Far East. I'm sorry if anybody's in the Far East. If you're in China and you're a 2CV lover, I'm very, very sorry. But a lot of the Chinese-made 2CV pieces are just incredibly poor quality. I've fallen foul of it myself. I ordered a Taillight Rubber for Jolene, the beige rubber strip that goes around my brake lights, and I've got an original one on one side, and I had the wrong coloured one. I had a black one on the passenger side. I ordered a brand new one. It cost me €5.50 or €6. And in 6 months it's gone brown and crusty, and it's actually in worse condition than the original one I have on the other side. The same company, I ordered some paint in Jolene's Vert en Brun colour with the correct paint code and everything. I'd actually bought paint from this company in the past to paint my windscreen surround when I fit my new windscreen rubber, so I knew that company sold the right colour. I had a scratch on my front wing, and I wanted to be a good owner, so I repainted the front wing with paint that I ordered from the same paint supplier that I got the paint when I painted my windscreen surround, and it's completely the wrong colour. It's too dark. And this is an issue. The quality of parts from many 2CV parts companies is just not good. There are very good parts companies out there which I've had very good relationships with, companies like S-Gas, who I've bought parts from before, and Defranzone in Germany are very, very good. Very good customer service. They always get back to you quickly, and their parts are very good quality. Other companies I've had kind of mixed relationships with as far as the quality of parts. Some are very good, some are not very good. My local place, I always go in person. I've learned that, and I check the parts before I buy them, and I say, you know, this is rubbish, this one's, I'll take this, I don't want that, kind of thing. Because some of the parts are just terrible quality, and that's sad when you're talking, you know, you're paying a lot of money. 2CV parts are cheap-ish, but some of them are very expensive, and it all adds up. But if you're paying a company a lot of money for reproduction, remade, or new old stock parts, and instead you're getting poor quality Chinese-made knockoff bits, it's sad, especially when you order online and you can't check the quality first, and the things that turn up in your mail are disappointing. But like I say, don't be disheartened, because there are very good quality companies out there that are producing very high standard parts. In fact, Defranzone, I've just been reading, they sent me a thing about their new chassis, where they're making brand new chassis in Germany that are like mega quality, that don't have the flaws in them of the original 2CV chassis. They're actually better quality than original, which is incredibly good news for a lot of us. And definitely, like, quality like that is worth paying for if you're going to keep your car for the rest of your life, which is what I'm going to do with Jolene. The next thing on this list is the fact that you can't go anywhere quickly in a 2CV. But it has nothing to do with the fact that Jolene has 18 horsepower. It's because everywhere you go, everyone wants to talk to you. Everybody has a story. I've had 90-year-old women cross the road to, like, run across the road to tell me about their experiences with 2CVs. It's not a car person thing, it's a people thing. People love this car. People love Jolene. Everywhere I go, I get smiles, I get waves from children. Everybody loves it. She brightens everybody's day, and that's an awesome thing. Except when I need to nip to a supermarket and then I have to go to another shop before it closes, because in France, you know, shops close at weird hours. I'm in a bit of a rush, and some dude comes up to me, or some old lady, like some 94-year-old lady, to tell me that her first car she ever owned herself was a 2CV, and it was in 1950. And, you know, and you really want to hear this lady's story, but you're like, I'm really sorry, but I'm really in a rush because I've got stuff to do, places to go. And you literally can't go anywhere quickly because people's enthusiasm for this car gets in the way. And it's just part of owning her. But it can be frustrating at times. The next thing on this list is particular to early 2CVs, and it is this steering wheel. The steering wheel on Jolene is fantastically, like, thin and very tactile and very nice. And the vent system on a 2CV is superb. In summer, you don't need air conditioning. I've driven Jolene in like 113 Fahrenheit, which is like 45 degrees or something like that Celsius. And she's absolutely superb. Like, I drive her all summer. I drive her in -10 in winter. The heater on an early 2CV is astoundingly good. The heater on an early 2CV is actually better than the heater on a 2CV6. I can drive in -10 and wear a t-shirt. And like, I don't have an insulated roof or anything like that. She's just that brilliant. But the steering wheel is, when you first get in it, is freezing in winter and boiling in summer. I've actually burnt my hand. I once parked in the sun, jumped in Jolene to quickly move her, and burnt my hand on the steering wheel in summer. It's that hot, and a lot of owners wrap their steering wheels because of this. But that makes your steering wheel thicker, which I don't like. So yeah, you can wrap them in leather. You can wrap them in like bar tape stuff, like for a road bike. But I don't want to. I like the nice thin wheel. But the fact that it is freezing in winter and boiling in summer means you've got to be very careful about where you park your car in summer, or use a sunshade or a t-shirt over your steering wheel. I've done that before. And in winter, she's just going to be cold when you first get in her. And even though the heater works very, very quickly, you're going to be like, ooh, when you're manoeuvring, because you might as well just wear gloves in winter, driving gloves. I'm yet to get a pair of I'm yet to get a pair of driving gloves. I think I need another cup of coffee. But my partner uses driving gloves when driving Jolene in winter. They also give you better grip on the steering wheel. The next thing in this list is that the 2CV is an incredibly versatile vehicle, and that means that some people won't agree with the things that I've put on this list and in this video. Everybody who owns a 2CV has a very unique relationship to it, and it's one of the things I love about 2CVs, is that every single person defines their relationship with their 2CV differently. It also means that a lot of people in 2CV communities will tell you you're doing it wrong, no matter what you do with your 2CV. For instance, a lot of you love the Come Drive With Me videos that I've made a couple of, where I simply just take Jolene for a drive around lovely country roads. I drive her spiritedly, but not hard. I'm not hard on her. I still treat her like an old lady, but I drive in a way that maintains momentum and is entertaining to me, more than anything else. But I've been told that I drive Jolene too harshly. At the same time, I have friends who have just driven in fact, I'm wearing the t-shirt, the rodeo. I love this t-shirt, by the way. The rodeo in 2CV guys. My friends who I met at the 2CV National, they've driven their standard 2CV6 to Mongolia. They're currently in Mongolia. There'll be a link to that video at the end of this one as well. I know people who've driven their 2CVs across Africa. I know people who've driven an 18 horsepower. Well, I know a guy who's driven an 18 horsepower, just like Jolene, across Russia. On old dirt roads, and got us wet and done river crossings and stuff like that. I also know people who have cars that don't go out in the wet. Like guys who won't drive their 2CVs on a rainy day. And their 2CVs stay in a nice warm garage and get polished and be concourse, and that's a lovely thing. But a lot of people in forums and in groups judge each other and say, "Oh, concourse guy, you need to drive your car more," or a concourse guy says to people who drive their cars, "Oh, you drive your cars too much." I've had people wince when I fold my INAC kit forward and just shove stuff in the back, but Jolene is my daily driver, and she's built to be driven, and she's built to live, and me driving her properly won't make her last forever, but nothing lasts forever. Lack of use will kill a car just as quickly. The fact is, I drive my car every single day, and Jolene's beautifully reliable. Like I say, I'm up this morning doing maintenance stuff on her, and just keeping her clean and keeping her nice, because that's how you keep your car nice, and that's how you keep her reliable. You've got to keep on top of her. You drive her hard, you maintain her hard. Maintain her hard, you know what I mean. You maintain her more because you drive her more. You service her more because you put in a lot of miles on her. But to me, that's my relationship with my 2CV. My relationship with my 2CV is making videos, it's working on her, it's driving her to the supermarket, it's putting, I put a 400-year-old urn, like a giant flower pot, in the back of Jolene the other day. That's part of owning a 2CV for me. If I need to put a bag of sand in the back of the car, I'll put a bag of sand in the back of the car. She's my daily driver, and I love her. And to me, I live in rural France. I live where Jolene was designed to live, and I use her in the way that she was actually designed to be used. I've never put 2 male pigs in the back. I may have driven across a ploughed field, but not with eggs. I'm actually asked a lot. I need to do a video at some point where I drive across a ploughed field with a basket full of eggs. My neighbour has a ploughed field. I may need to buy some eggs and do a video about that at some point. I don't know. But, I truly do use her as an umbrella on wheels. I use it every single day, and I absolutely adore her. But that doesn't make you wrong if you are a concourse guy and just love polishing your car and keeping your car all original. It doesn't make you wrong if you want to drive to Mongolia. One of my dreams for Jolene, is to drive her to Morocco and drive her across the Atlas Mountains. And I think that driving to Morocco and Algeria in a 2CV is a rite of passage for a 2CV. I know a lot of people have done it. I know a lot of people who actually, I have followers who are in Morocco and Algeria who own 2CVs. So I'd really like to go and do like an Algerian 2CV meet. That would be awesome. Or a Moroccan 2CV meet. You know, have a 2CV meet in the Atlas Mountains. You know, have a 2CV meet Casablanca would be just awesome. But it's part of what I want to do with my car in the future. And I know that there are some concourse show car guys out there who will really disapprove of that. And that's okay. If you just want to polish your car and save it for future generations, you do that. I'm going to have Jolene forever. I'm going to keep rebuilding her. That's the best thing about 2CVs to me, is that they are a Lego car. You know, they are so beautifully simple. They are so beautiful to work on. So I'm going to keep working on Jolene. I'm going to make her perfect, but I'm also going to use her. And so when something happens and I've got to fix it, it doesn't matter to me because it's part of Jolene's life. It's part of Jolene's story. And like I say, we all define our relationships with our 2CVs differently, and that's what makes 2CV owners really interesting to me, you know, not just the car itself, but the history of the car. You can get a million 2CV6s. We did it. We did it at the National. I walked around the National and I talked to all the owners of the different 2CVs, and every single owner had a different story with their car, and that's awesome. You know, every single thing I've said in this video comes from a place of love for these cars. And I know some of the things are funny little things, like not being able to go anywhere because you've got to talk to people all the time. That's just part of owning an awesome classic car. You know, at least once a week, someone offers to buy my car off me. I'm not kidding you. The answer is always no. I'll keep Jolene forever, and I absolutely love this car. But she's not perfect. You know, she's never going to win a concourse show, and I don't care. I'm going to love her, and I'm going to use her, and I'm going to drive her. And that's my relationship with Jolene. And you guys get to see my relationship with Jolene because of these videos, and that's kind of awesome. These videos are also for me as much as they are for you. I love sharing my car culture with you. We've been doing a lot of show stuff lately, and I've really enjoyed that. But I'm really looking forward to getting back to kind of working on Jolene and working on the house and doing those kind of videos. I really enjoy those kind of videos as well. And we're also going to check out some of my neighbours' cars, some of my friends' cars as well. That's on the list. There's a lot to come. So if you want to check out all that there is to come on this channel, all of the happenings that are happening, please feel free to click subscribe down below. It's just across from the like button, which is the best way to tell me and YouTube that you enjoyed this video. If you want to recommend this video to friends, please feel free to do so. If you love my videos and you watch my videos every single week, please share my videos with your friends. It allows me to make more videos. It allows me to keep growing this channel. It allows me to get more reach and make this community a more beautiful place, especially if you invite cool people. If you have friends who are cool, who love classic cars, who will enjoy this video, it makes the comment section a really awesome place. And I always cherry pick some of my favorite comments every single week and post them on Twitter, because not everybody reads the comment section, and everybody should, because you guys have some beautiful stories and you guys have some things to say that are really worthwhile to read. I always love hearing about you, your cars, your stories, your travels, all that kind of thing. And we've got a really nice community that's growing in the comments. So thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other. I know you always are, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.